All right. So, as you know, I'm Karen Williams, and I am the host of the State of Our Union and the Fight to Keep It. Because I always got to add that part, the fight to keep it, because it's a fight, girl. It's a struggle. And so I want to welcome Des and Patricia to our podcast this evening. I am
Pleasure.
so excited to have you all.
Thanks
Yay.
for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank
Love
you.
it. And yo, man, this is the exciting part. You guys are joining me all the way from
Atlanta, Georgia.
I know it, right? I was like, "Oh my god," what I said, "The A is in the house."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, love it. And so by now, most of you already know me. Rob and I have been married for 33 years. We have a bunch of kids, a bunch of grandkids, and we live in Las Vegas. But tonight, we want to really dive into Des and Patricia's life just a little bit. We promise we won't talk about nothing too embarrassing, but we're going to see what this conversation go, right?
On it
So,
out.
Des, I'll start with you. So tell everybody a little bit about you and Patricia, and then Patricia, you can just dive in there and weave in. Nothing about this podcast is super formal. We're just a bunch of, just friends sitting around talking.
So we've been married for 23
3
years.
years. Yeah, nice. Since 99.
20
Nice.
years. We've been married 23 years and together
7
27,
years.
27
Yeah.
years.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
uh,
Cool.
you want to start?
No, you go
You want
ahead.
me to go? So I'm Patricia Pickett. I'm married to this handsome thing right here next to me, and we have an amazing marriage, amazing friendship. I'm
Mhm.
part-time. I'm a substance abuse counselor. I've been doing that for 20 years. I have a degree in social psychology and a minor in criminal justice. And whenever I'm not playing a counselor to my patients, Des and I have a company called Off the Chain Management LLC, and it is an entertainment talent agency. And we mainly specialize in celebrity talent bookings, that's what we do part-time when we're not at our regular job. So that's a little bit about what I do and what we do on the side. Kicking it over to Des.
Hello, everyone. My name is Orlandez Pickett, better known as Des. To the ones that know me, the ones that are out, Des. When I'm not doing OTCM with my business partner, my better half, I'm a driver for Cold Freight Company Services, and when I do that part time, I'm also artist management and stage management for a lot of multinational concerts around the
Mhm.
world. So.
Yeah. And that's the cool part about it. Let the audience in on this a little bit. I met Patricia, and well, I haven't met Des in person yet. That's the cool part.
Yeah.
But because we already know each other, Patricia is actually my sister's manager, and so that's how our relationship kind of kicked off. And so, it's just always awesome to meet other amazing couples that have marriages that we can learn from. For me, I really believe that marriage is really a legacy that we're leaving for our kids and their kids when we leave this earth. It's that deep for me. I think we hear a lot about unhealthy relationships and marriages that are not working and marriages that are broken. And so I really believe that if we can start creating platforms for healthy marriages to have a voice, to start talking about some of the things that, you know, what you've gone through, but how you've gotten over some of those things and how those things have brought you closer. In the previous episodes, Rob and I shared a little bit about some of the struggles that we've had over the 3 decades. Now, you can't be married for 3 decades and not have gone through something. You know what I mean? We talked about the death of my parents. We talked about the death of our son. We talked about, moving, living in different countries, our military career, all the things. Go back and listen to the old episodes, y'all. We ain't trying to do a preview, but, those are some of the things that we talked about. And so we're gonna dive right in. And as we continue the conversation, more introductory stuff will come up. So if you really want to get to know them, we're gonna have some information in the show notes, so you can definitely get a hold of them. If you know anybody that's looking for, promoters or management companies, they are your people. All right.
Heartless.
Yeah, so you guys live in Atlanta now, but
Mhm.
I know that you didn't always live in Atlanta. So tell us a little bit about where you guys moved from and definitely how you guys met.
So we are originally from Birmingham, Alabama. That's where we were basically born and raised.
Mhm.
And we moved to Atlanta in 2013. So that's
Right.
when we came over here. Just really living in Alabama, we capped out on the entertainment industry. You could only do so much. And we were always just driving to Atlanta for all the projects that we were getting booked for.
Right, right,
We may as well move there, so
right.
we really sought after God, to
Mhm.
tell us when we should move, what the time would be the best for us. And I remember we ended up, instead of going out for New Year's Eve, we ended up going to church
Right.
instead.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
And our pastor just preached about, hey, moving and going to different places and taking 7 steps.
Yeah.
It took 7 months. In the 7th month, in July 2013, we ended up over here in Atlanta.
Yeah. And plus we had to also think about our kids. They were young at the time.
Yeah.
With that being said, it's a whole new different, and they were young, so by
Mhm,
them being young, they can probably adapt a little bit more easier than being a little bit older with,
mhm.
having friends or that,
Things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah, because even when we moved from DC to here, our kids were young. I ain't had no job, so I ain't had nothing to ain't had nothing holding me in DC. Well, I shouldn't say that because my job was a stay-at-home mom. That's really what what I did. I homeschool my kids. And I remember even thinking it won't be as hard when we make the move. Like you said, they adapt so much easier when they're younger versus when they're teenagers and have that emotional attachment to their friends and all of that stuff. So I definitely get that. And it's so funny how okay, so you talk about the move. How did you guys meet before we even talk about, marriage? How did you meet and think that this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with? How did that come about?
Who's going
Well,
first?
we met through, but before we was behind the scenes of, management, celebrity talent bookings, we were also professional background dancers. I was a choreographer. Once the artist decided to have audition for dancers, Patricia was one of the dancers.
No.
So to make a long story short story long, we couldn't get along.
We hated each
She was
other.
trying to take my job.
Screaming.
Every dance count that I would put together for the group, she would always have something to say. Now, mind you, it's three young ladies and two guys. So
Uh-huh.
as a choreographer, I was still one of the male dancers in
Well,
the group.
right.
So she would always come to her. Now, keep in mind also, we rehearse 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So everything has to be perfect for the artist. And
Right.
let me move it along here. Well, one day, her and her girlfriends and cousin decided to take a trip. Me and the other dancer, we wanted to stay home and, just get some things together before
Mhm.
everybody come back for practice. And I was like, sitting at the practice, I'm like, she on my mind. Why I miss this child? I guess because I was so used to it. I'm like, I'm thinking outside of that. And then I guess when I told her, once we finally got outside of work, because when I'm working, I'm very serious about what I
Right.
our time to indulge in that. And she felt the same way about me.
Yeah.
So
I would say the
yeah.
same thing. For me, I was recruited by one of the guys that was in the rap group that Dez was doing the choreography for. He came and scouted me and another one of my friends at a club just dancing like, hey, we got this new group. We about to go on tour.
Mm,
They have a audition. Do you guys want to come? And he and I were kind of
Mhm.
like, sure, why not?
yeah.
So when we
Yeah.
got to the audition, I'm looking at Dez and he's the choreographer. And I was so used to this not professional, like, like 5, 6, 7, 8. We
Right, right.
party type of dancing, clubbing and Dev over here
Dropping like a
tipping,
hot.
doing his arms,
Dropping.
all this stuff, and it was a hard count to get. And I was trying to change the style of dancing to
Uh-huh.
more of what I knew how to do. I liked Des was in a relationship at the time. And I knew
Mm.
one thing about me, I'm not dating no married man. I'm not talking to no married man. I'm not talking to no man that's in a relationship with nobody. But I could already feel and tell that he was the person for me. And whatever I needed to do, if I had to wait years, oh well, I would. So I never crossed any boundaries with him, but I
Wow.
would always hear him on the phone just talking to his girl. They would just be fussing, arguing. He was like, I'm coming home, I'm doing this. It didn't seem like she was a big supporter
He
of
was.
his career and
She
what he
was.
was doing. Like all of us
Yeah.
just listening to him outside on the phone, just fussing, fussing, fussing. Of course, me, I'm like, well, I don't know how long this relationship gonna last, but she better not break up with him. So he's
'Cause
right.
I'm
But
gonna be right here.
we went to Daytona 1999, me and my friends, and I was thinking about him, and I'm like, I hate this dude. What? Why is he on my mind? And when we got back from the trip, he and his girl had broken up. They weren't together anymore. I think at the time she was trying to force him to get married,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Marriage. Yeah.
he wasn't ready
Mhm.
at the time.
Yeah.
So once they fully broke up, and we got back, and he told me he was thinking about me too. I'm like, this is crazy. So we dated for a year,
Mhm.
Okay.
right? And then after a year, we were together for a year. Okay,
Yeah.
that's year two, and
Mhm.
year three, Des proposed.
Well, that year, that's when we went on the road and really
We
got
started
to know each other.
touring.
We got
Oh,
to
okay. So
We
you
would
spent a
know
lot of time with each other doing that
watch the
that
tour
yeah,
tour
part.
and yeah.
we rehearsing 7 days a week.
Yeah, we was
Yeah.
You
rehearsing.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we were
Mhm.
touring with a couple of different groups and
Right.
working with different companies.
Mhm.
And year three, that's when he proposed to me at Christmas. Christmas,
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
And then we
That's
got
so
married a
cool.
year later. So it was like dating a year, relationship a year,
Yep.
marriage a year.
Right.
Yeah, well, I was 23 when we got married. Des was 20 when we got married. So we got married. Everybody always say, "Y'all look so young.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all been married that long." I knew that he was the one for me,
Funny.
and I just waited. And I mean, I had already gone out, done everything. It just was nothing left for me to do.
Yeah.
I found someone who I felt was a protector for me.
Mhm.
It was just the right time and the right moment, and we've been
It
together.
felt right. It felt right. And you know what? I like the way you said that you guys met, you spend that time together. So you had the opportunity to see each other in different settings, different situations. I'm sure lots of conflict came up because when you talk about business decisions and, creative art, the artistry and all of that, some of those things are gonna, you guys gonna
Yeah.
bump heads on some of those ideas. But what I liked is that you guys didn't run away from that conflict. You use that as, what is that instrument to even get to know each other on a deeper level, on a better level. Because I know for some couples, the moment conflict shows up, we're like, wait a minute, you may not be the one for me after all. But you guys figured out a way how to get around that and establish a relationship with that. And that helped build the foundation of your relationship.
Yeah.
Which, not surprising, you've been married 20 plus years.
Right. We did marry too, and
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
very we lived together. So I would say we lived together. It was kind of whether or not you do or you don't live together before you get married, but we know that society changed a lot.
Right.
So we
Right.
had a chance to live together too before we were married. So that to me, we along with marriage counseling, it taught us what the man is responsible for, what
Mhm.
the wife is responsible for. There was good education of us before we even got into marriage.
Yeah.
And marriage counseling definitely was a real big thing that helped us out a lot.
Let's go down that road a little bit. And I'll ask Des this question because a lot of times I get couples where even if the wife or the female partner is willing to do some type of marriage education, a lot of times the male partner is like, no, I don't want to tell people my business. I would like you to talk to the guys that's in the audience that
Yeah.
really feel like they can't benefit from counseling or benefit from any type of coaching or therapy. So if you could talk a little bit about that, how that worked for you, what were your mindset going in and all that?
Well, counseling is a very, very first, if it's a spiritual type of situation that you're in, it's good to go in it, spiritually first and have a spiritual understanding of what the male role, and you have to be accepted to that. So accepted to things that, like she said, what the man role is supposed to do, and that way you'll know if the marriage is the thing for you, or you need time to grow as a young man and as a male partner to understand the role that you'll be playing pretty
Mhm.
much for the rest of your life if this something you want, indulge in. So I really recommend for the young men that are thinking about pursuing that route. It's a great thing to do to have that counseling. So it's nothing bad at all,
Mhm.
and it's a great learning tool, and it's a great motivational, spiritual journey that you'll
Mhm.
take with your partner to be for the rest of your life. Yeah.
But I don't wanna I'm gonna be objective here.
Okay.
But I don't wanna sit down and tell nobody my business, man. Well, I gotta tell everybody my business. I wanna, I see how my uncles do do their women, and I see how my daddy did with their women. First of all, I listen to the
Well,
podcast, bro, so I know what to do. Why I still gotta go sit down and
well,
in counseling, 'cause I hear that stuff. So
let me say this. Growing up as my household, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've seen what I would want for myself and what I
Mhm,
want as in a partner. So I've seen where, my uncles and my dad and guys that I was, considered
mhm,
brothers at the time, how they would treat a woman. Now it's like, okay, if I wanted to go that route, or do I see myself being my dad, or I see myself being my uncle? I'm not saying that either side is bad as a
right,
role.
right.
It's like I grew up learning that life is about choices. So I mean, A, B, or C. So just
Mhm.
it's your choice. It's your life. So that's how I was grew up with. Far as just understanding that what a real male is supposed to do, a real
Yeah.
is supposed to do, and I take pride in that, so
So at the end of the day, you're saying we all got choices to make. You decide the type of husband that you want to be and get
absolutely.
the help that
Right,
you need to show up the way you want to show up.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Like I said, I think in a relationship, if you doing right, like that true thing, boomerang is that's really real. It go for men too now. Hey, that's real. So I
Yeah.
mean, keep in mind. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look back. Let's kind of fast forward a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit about how you guys navigate those challenges because you didn't get to this place
Mhm.
without having any challenges at all. It wasn't a smooth sail. Everything did not go right every week because this podcast is really aimed at that young couple who is at year 3. I say about year 3 because year 1 and year 2 is all honeymoon and everything is all spicy and looking good. Now, year 3, there may be some kids in the equation, somebody working too much, somebody feeling alone. They're at that point now where their identity is now being in question. What? I didn't get married to stay at home. Why am I staying at home by myself? Talk to that one couple who is now at that stage where they're like, I don't know if I want to do this. I can't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So talk a little bit about that, how that was for you guys.
Um, I think the biggest thing that over the years we learned is communication.
That's it. You have to have
I
communication.
mean,
Say that
Uh,
again, girl. Say that again. Say that again. Say that one more time.
communication.
Communication is key. It's
Thank
it's,
you.
mean,
it's
if you don't communicate, the it's just hard.
it really is.
And then sometimes you can assume how a person feels, you can assume what they're thinking, and you can be 100% wrong.
Right.
Mhm.
You can live in the same house and have a lot of miscommunication if you
It's
don't.
true.
Tell the
So
truth.
we learned sometimes we used to be having 3 to 4 meetings a week
Mhm.
just to say, "Did I tell him this? Did I tell him that? Did I forget to tell him this? Did I forget to tell him that?" If I'm having a bad day, it's okay for me to communicate with my husband that I'm having a bad day. It might not be
Mhm.
nothing that you did, but I'm
Mhm.
letting you know just because 'cause I'm quiet, I'm not saying anything, it's not you. It could
Right.
be something else. And I think communication is the root to keeping a
It-
marriage together.
yeah. God first, then communication.
God first.
Yes. Definitely God first. God always first now. But I really believe that, especially from a coaching perspective, I always tell my clients communication is the lifeblood of your relationship. Because
Really.
as you know, the moment communication stops, your marriage is about to die. It's on the way to death.
It's
Mhm.
You
down.
know,
It's just
because
down from there.
it's downhill from there. Exactly. Was there a time when you guys struggled with communication?
I think
Mm,
the beginning of our marriage, I feel like we did,
Mhm.
struggle with communication because we weren't communicating on a regular basis. We were so busy and we was traveling the road so much.
yeah.
It could be something simple that I forget to say, "Oh, I forgot to tell you this," and then it
Mm,
turned into an argument. You know what I'm saying? An
Mhm.
argument that you shouldn't even have to have had you just communicated
mm,
this situation. So I think early on in a marriage, the first 5 or 6 or so years, I don't
Yeah.
think communication was a big thing that we focused on because we just stayed on the go all the time with our company and with our business. So
Mhm.
we did do marriage counseling at one point in our
mm,
marriage when we were, having some miscommunications with each other. And the pastor is telling us, like, hey, this is again what the male role is. This is what the female role is. It could be, Des has to do this. Patricia, you got to do that. And learning how to be submissive to your husband is not an easy task.
Especially for strong women,
Independent, and you think you know
independent,
everything.
strong women, Lord Jesus help us.
Bless us, bless it. So yeah, I think that in the beginning of the marriage, and once we learn to communicate with each other better,
mm.
we go months without having an argument about anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we say communication, I want our audience to really be paying attention to what this actually means. It's not just, we're not talking about a board meeting and we're not talking about every conversation have to be like what is it, a Davos meeting or a world summit, we're
Right.
talking about even shooting a text to you to say, "Hey, let me, staying late at work," or I'm gonna
Yeah.
be out of town this weekend or, things like that. Um, because what I'm hearing that you guys, because of the nature of the business that you guys do, you spend a lot of time either together or on the road. Now,
Yes.
how do you carve out time specifically for you, just basically Des and Patricia, like a date night or to actually nurture your relationship? What does that look like?
Well, in between times, like, while we're in the entertainment business, so entertainment business have quarters, right?
Mm.
So a lot of times you have the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth
Or
quarter is almost pretty much close to the holidays. So we
Mhm.
like to try to plan a lot of family time, trips, a month out, and let our clients know, like, look, the month of this month right here are all X'd out
December.
months. Straight family. Turn our cell phones off, turn all the communication off with, important business clients and stuff
Hmm.
like that because they're
Mhm.
doing things as well. So, but in between time, we sometimes we try to take we out with the client. We try to if it's downtime, that's when we'll look at that itinerary and like, look, we got like an hour. So let's look while we here in like Las Vegas
Yeah.
or Orlando or
Some me
let's
time in there.
yeah, we try to throw some of that in there.
Yeah. So
So
you
we
what
just
I'm Go
go
ahead, I'm sorry.
go skating or, do something.
We didn't
Hey,
used to make time for it though.
yeah,
Like I
we
said
did.
early on in the
Yeah,
marriage,
we did.
and you already know how busy your sister is. DJ Tracy
Yeah.
still was
Oh,
everywhere,
yeah.
all
Most of
just
them.
forever, just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of times we just didn't have me time.
Right.
We
Mhm.
didn't. Even our anniversary would come around in
Mhm.
May, which is Memorial Day weekend. It'll always be something booked.
It's
Our
always
kids'
Yeah.
something.
birthdays, it'll
Right.
always be something booked.
Right.
So it had gotten to a point. I would just say that first 6 7 years,
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
weren't making a time for us because we were
Mhm.
always working. And sometimes we're separated.
Right. Yeah.
Des may be gone to do a gig, and then I
Yeah.
may have to be gone to do a gig. It's rare, you know what I'm saying, that we do get to
Mhm.
travel a lot together now, but in the beginning of the marriage, we didn't have a lot of me time. So
Yeah.
we started making time
Right.
in December when the quarter is slow, which is
Mhm.
usually November,
Mhm.
December, last 3 months. After October is when it would slow down for us.
Mhm.
We would always plan a trip in December with our family.
So I wanna pull those nuggets out of what you guys just said for the audience, because what I'm hearing is that you guys make yourselves a priority.
Mm,
you are intentional about some dates and some family time and
Yes.
making sure that you get the chance to spend time together. Now, I know sometimes work get in the middle of, of the marriage and, especially again, couples that are in marriages where one may travel a lot and so they feel like, okay, where do we fit into that? Because it's in those moments that the drift starts.
Abs
And before you know it, you haven't spoken to each other in about a week. Then that week turn into a month, that month turn into 3, 4 months, and that can get dangerous.
yeah,
Yes.
That gets
It
dangerous, and that's when
can.
we start
that's
feeling
why
neglected.
that's why the communication is
It's so important.
very, 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 very important.
We do
Very important.
we have a family group chat on our phones,
Mhm.
and we've taught our kids the importance of checking in. So it's not a moment where if our daughter goes out, she's checking in. We usually say every 2 to 3 hours, that everybody say something.
Absolutely.
If
Yeah.
I'm going to an event, "Hey, mom made it safe to XYZ,"
Right.
I'm saying that to
Yes.
them. If Dez is out, he'll say, "Hey, I made it safe." Like, we make it our business in our
Right.
family chat
Right.
to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes me and Dez will have we got our own times where we communicate with each other also, but that communication, I'm just gonna keep saying it over and over
Right.
again,
You have
that's
to.
what it
You have
Yes.
to.
takes.
The key.
Because in this entertainment industry, you gotta know I work with a lot of men, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And Dez work with a lot of females.
Yes.
And
Talk
can
a
you
little
imagine
don't just glaze over that. Go back in there. Go back into that one. Talk a little bit about that.
well, I'll say it takes trust.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It
Yes.
just you got to learn how to trust your partner. It takes 2
Mhm.
people to make a mistake. You gotta learn trust. I was, very jealous, in the beginning of our marriage. I just was just jealous, just mad jealous, just jealous, jealous, jealous. I'm
And
jealous.
how did you move past that? How did you intentionally move past that season?
What made me? Cause one, Des will say, "You have to trust me."
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It takes 2 people. I have to be
Yeah.
selfish to be that
Right.
person to I don't wanna miss out on my wife and my kids. I
Yeah.
love y'all. I cannot
Yeah.
imagine not having y'all, so you gotta stop thinking these things, and I think if I went a long time without texting and you don't hear back from me, then Des can start formulating whatever he wanna
Yeah. The
formulate.
deal. The deal will always stay busy. So
Stay in your head,
stay.
making you
Just
think
like
all these
communication.
things that
Yeah.
aren't good. So
Yeah.
that's where we solidly learned, even when we were working separate from each other.
Mhm.
And it's so many people in the entertainment industry that don't want to see you married.
Yeah.
I mean, you would be surprised at how many people tried to split me and Dez up
Yeah.
throughout these years in the entertainment industry.
Wow.
Oh, we just want her. Oh, we just want him. And
Mhm.
we just got to a point where it was like, no, you get us.
Right.
If you can't
Yeah.
handle having both of us, then that's just a problem that you're just gonna have to deal with because we're a team.
Right.
Mhm.
So we had to learn when people was trying to split us up just to be negative, those are the jobs, some of those jobs we just said no to. And I think again, we learn how to communicate with each other within a certain
Yes.
time so that we don't start to formulate things when we're separated and the devil don't come in and I start playing on our brains.
Now, what's the funny part is like for the last 5 years, we go into a client relationship that we a business, but like we on the same job together, project
Mhm.
together. Like
Right.
say, it's like we just did the 60th anniversary of Montgomery to Selma showcase
Oh,
concert,
mhm.
Prince Tate, and a lot. Just make it long story short story long. A lot of people that we work with we won't even announce that we're husband, we're
Right.
business partners. The way they find out if they look at the call sheet or something, they see our numbers, our information on it, like pick it.
Period.
It's like, wait a minute,
Oh,
y'all
They
married?
put 2 and 2 together.
Hold That's how a
that's
lot of
like,
stuff.
how y'all been here this whole
Yeah,
time? That booking we had Lorenz Tate for that event, and he just couldn't believe like y'all don't even sit on the set and act married.
right.
Yeah.
This was the stage manager, right? And I was assistant stage manager, and they just happened to put 2 and 2 together to
Yeah,
figure out that we were actually married. So a lot of times we don't even tell people because we want to be
thank you.
respected in the
Absolutely.
roles that we're in.
Yes. Yes. Now, I've asked several other couples this that have businesses together.
Hmm.
Now, um I love my husband, he knows that I do. But I'm like, "Bruh, I could not be working with you 24/7. I nope, mm-mm." Because see, I'm a little bit on the chaotic side. I'm just like, I shoot from the cuff a lot and, I'm like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go with this kind of flow or whatever."
Mhm.
Him, on the other hand, he's detailed, he's all about precision, 'cause he's an audio engineer.
Okay.
So, of course, he's the guy that gets there, making sure, I mean, you guys can relate. He makes sure
Mhm.
that the sound check is done.
Yes.
If a band shows up that has not sound checked, oh my God, drive him crazy. Just the
Yep.
way they, just the way they wrap their microphone will drive him up the walls. He's just like, that's not the dude, right? So I'm like, no, I can't be working with you like that. You want me to explain everything? No. But I always admire couples who are able to work together, keep that work life over here, and then the family life over here. Yes, the two gonna merge because you make up both, both environments. But tell me a little bit about some of the pluses and the minuses, or the positives and negatives for both. How working together, and then where is the downtime? How do you separate the 2?
Well,
Hmm.
I think in the beginning it was a little rough because
Yeah.
at times I will come in and be like, "Look, man, we gotta you going on 18 hours and you this just you coming home.
Yeah, I in the
Let's
beginning of the marriage,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
gone a lot. I was traveling with Tracy consistently.
Yeah.
And then, we try to figure out a way that we both can work certain jobs together. I will even go back as far as what you were saying, like how did we make this work? We
Mhm.
love the same things. Like it's probably rare, but me and Des had a whole lot in common.
Yeah.
mhm,
You know, I learned a lot from him about entertainment. We met and both I had a modeling agency
right,
that we worked together with, and
Right.
we kind of merged our businesses together
Mhm.
with another business partner to kind of, keep things, what's the word I'm looking for? Just balancing
yeah,
out
balance.
what we
Okay.
were doing. And
Mhm.
in the beginning of the marriage, we had to be separated a lot. It was a lot going on. Even Des had to move to New York for like 2 months
Right, with a client,
Oh,
with
wow.
client
an
for
artist
work.
I was
Yeah,
managing.
yeah.
And all I just, it was for me to be there at home. I had to raise the kids, take care of the children while he was gone. And
Mhm.
then there'd be times where I would be gone and we would just switch roles. So we did the best that we could. One, to trust,
Mhm,
two, to communicate, and
Mhm.
to try and keep our marriage as strong as possible. Because again, when you know people are preying on what you have, you really want to prove them
Yep.
wrong.
Yep.
right, yeah,
100%, 100%. So far I'm hearing the role of, your convictions playing a major role in how you guys relate to each other. You have some ground rules in place, and then not just establish ground rules or expectations, you guys communicate those things with each other. So it is so important, and I stress on that. It is so important that even as couples, even if we have expectations of each other, we have to sit down and actually have a conversation about it. Tell each other, these are some of the things I expect from you as my spouse, as my partner. As
Yeah.
business partners, yes, the responsibilities might be a little different. The roles may be a little different, but we still have a level of respect for each other to where we make sure that we are not in compromising positions, that our relationship is being threatened, or even our relationship being compromised for that matter. I
Absolutely.
hear the importance of communication. I hear the importance of not having assumptions of each other, but making sure that those conversations are being communicated. Now, is there ever a time with all of that going on, is there ever a time where you felt like, you know what? I'm done. I cannot do this with you. From this moment forward, I'm choosing to stay married to you. Did you ever come across a moment like that?
I think
Mm,
before we got married, we went through all that, a little bit of static, but
Mhm.
doing the marriage, nah, not for me.
Yeah.
I respect those vows and I respect her.
Yes.
as my best friend. So, I think it's easy to go that route instead of just because if you understand the vows for better or worse, for rich or poor, if you really took into those words,
Right.
and
Yeah.
keep them inside and instilled in you,
Mhm.
sit down and talk about it, cool off for a minute,
Yeah.
give each other space. And really sit down and think about it. We'll both come to each other.
I'm
I'm sorry.
sorry.
We'll talk about it. We'll come with a solution and we'll work it out. So,
Divorce
And
is
I,
not an option in
yeah,
this marriage.
yeah.
That is one thing that we just know it's not an option. No
right.
matter how
Yeah.
hard our marriage get or no matter what we get into with one another, nothing is worth us leaving because we really think about the vows that we told God that
Right.
we
Yeah.
would stick together, period.
Right.
So we don't think the D or use the D word because
Right.
there's just not anything that we can do.
Yeah.
Like he said earlier on in our marriage, I think it would just be people trying to separate us is what was
Mhm.
causing a lot of the friction
Yeah.
of us if we wanted to quit or not wanting to do certain things. Des to me had a lot of goals and dreams and things that he wanted to do. Some
Mhm.
of those dreams and goals came easy to me. You know what I'm saying? So he would be watching me almost live out his dreams sometimes. And I
Mhm.
think that in itself, not to be selfish, you know what I'm saying? And me saying, okay, you know what? What can we do to make sure you reach the goals that you want? And we'll make out a list of things, that, whatever it is that we needed to do to make sure that he also maintain happiness in this industry. It can't just be Patricia is doing
Right.
everything that she wants to do, and Des is waiting on some of those things to come around. We really have learned to enjoy these things
Together.
together as a team, and it just makes us feel so much better. So early on in marriage, which they go to finger snaps. Early in the marriage, I think, like he said, we were having some of those I quit moments, but we
Yeah.
learned to get through it.
It is so important that for those of you that are listening to this, it is so important that, for starters, I heard Des said it, be married to your best friend.
Right.
Marriage
Absolutely.
is not just what is it? Marriage is not content. It's not social media content.
Oh,
It is really being married to your best friend. And I heard my husband was telling our youngest son recently that I was his best friend. And he's
Mm.
like, "Really?"
Yeah.
First of all, I'm like, "Bro, where have you been for 32 years? You've known us all your life. How do you not know that we are best friends?"
yeah.
But okay, that's for another episode. So, that is so important. And I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of their spouse being their best friend or even what that looks like. And so he always used the example that people don't have to teach you how to be friends with somebody. Right? You
Hmm.
go into that relationship, when you act a fool, you have no problem pulling your girl aside or pulling your boy aside, and you say, "Yo, bro, sis, what was that?" You know,
Right.
we communicate with these people, but yet we get married and then I don't know, we just freak out. Like, we don't know what to do, you know?
Yep.
And so I think it is such an important piece of the marriage relationship because I really believe that that's what's responsible for the connection. That's what's
Mhm.
responsible for those moments where you may not the physical attraction may not be because I ain't gonna lie. I wake up some days and my hair sticking out on top of my head. There's no way that I'm attracted. I'm physically attracted right now. You can't tell me that. But that's my best friend, you know?
Absolutely.
When he's sick and walking around the house in sweatpants and a beanie, nope, not physically attractive, but that's my best friend.
That's
You know what I
man.
mean?
Okay.
That's my man. That's my friend. And so it's so important to understand that in those moments, that's the moments where the marriage is really built.
Right.
It's not the perfect camera moments that we see on social media. And so with
Yeah.
that being said, I kind of want to segue into, and I'm going to give you the liberty to talk about this as much as you want. I know
Right.
recently you had some health concerns
Yeah.
and you went through the surgery, and girl, you had us over here praying and believing God and
I'm
trusting
telling you.
God. And then Des, I want to hear from you about some of the emotional roller coaster moments that you went through seeing your wife in that in that condition or in that situation.
I actually want to touch on two health issues.
Okay.
Honestly, the first one would be COVID.
Oh my gosh, how did I forget that? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I remember. Yes, girl, go
we
for it.
both
I forgot
had
about
it.
COVID.
Our entire family had it all at one time, and once we all got COVID, Dez was the first one in the hospital for almost a week and a half. And we had to really fight because I was sick at home while he was in the hospital. He got out the hospital. I went in the hospital.
Mm,
And I had a lot of mental breakdowns
yeah,
with COVID. There were a lot of my childhood traumas that resurfaced that I thought I had buried. And I think that mental side, because you living in the same house, but you can't see each other. I'm up, Dez is upstairs, I'm downstairs, kids in their room. I'm sick for literally 76 days
yeah,
straight, just can't do this, can't do that. The days that I did get in the hospital, being away from him, I think he was there for me regardless of the mental breakdowns that I
mm,
had. You know what I'm saying? And me
yeah,
having all these childhood memories come back, that literally took a toll on my entire family for them to have to be there for me. So one, COVID was hard. I never had any mental health problems until after COVID-19.
yeah,
That's when I had to start seeing a counselor and I had to see my psychiatrist, and I've been on my medications, doing everything that I'm supposed to do.
yeah, yeah.
And my husband is supporting me regardless of what I had gone through. So that
Mhm.
was the first health issue. The second one was I had to have back surgery. I had been in back surgery I had been in back pain for almost 7 straight years.
Right.
And in pain management for 7 years, just constant chronic back pain, and had to really make the final decision if I was going to go through and have a back surgery, which was a fusion. It's just a serious surgery. I have 4 titanium screws in my back now. And that was a very scary moment because Des had to take 2 months off work to take care of me because you're on bed rest for 2 whole months.
Mm,
So those were 2 things health wise that I think took a lot for him to be there for me.
yeah, yeah. So Des, talk to us a little bit about that. What was I mean, besides being in, caretaker mode,
Mhm.
what was happening for you in that moment? Talk, were there fears? Were they just, because sometimes in those moments we can go on autopilot and we just get in there, we just start doing, doing, doing. But describe what that was like for you.
Well, it was a mentally tough. You have to be mentally tough first. And making those decisions and being there for my best friend was not a hard process for me to do because I know she'll do the same thing for me.
Yeah.
So, going through that with her, and I just wanted her to not be in pain anymore. So it's a joy to me to even help her through the process with the doctors, the surgeons doing an outstanding job. I wanted to do my part in making sure she feels, the best situation to make her comfortable coming back home in the process of healing. So
Mm.
I knew that was my role. So I wanted to be well over 10 plus
He was
5 star, as you may say.
He just
5
said
star
5 star. He said 5 star.
So listen,
lunch, dinner.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to do a Google review on that.
So I want to be there well and beyond excellent on taking care of her and her husband
Yeah.
so she needed to get what she needed to get well
And the
to
business
be
still had to go
right.
also.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
he also had to make
I had
sure that the business was still handled. Like we had meetings prior to, because everybody used to talking to me.
review
Everybody used to
contracts.
dealing with
Yeah,
me
because she yeah.
all the time.
Right.
Like Patricia this, Patricia that. No, like there's a time where we have to actually transition,
Right.
and
We had to
Orlando's
reverse
reverse
roles.
roles.
Contract,
Yes.
had to do, negotiation contracts that
Yeah.
she would do. I had to do those. Plus, being there and I had to be mom and dad at the same time for the
Yeah.
key. Well, so yeah, yeah, yeah. I enjoyed it.
He did a
But
great job.
she back healthy. So
Yeah.
I'm pain free
yeah.
now.
Yes. Listen, thank God to see you. When I saw you, like the last time I saw you in Atlanta, you were standing straight up. I say,
Uh,
yes, Jesus. That was good. Yes.
so
Because
God,
that's it. When we think about the partner that we have. When we think about stepping into marriage, that's one of the things that Rob and I shared in one of our episodes was I was 5 months pregnant with Jordan when I had to have appendix surgery. And
Mm.
the question came down, if you have to save my wife or save the baby, which one you wanna do? And of course, my husband's like, You might wanna save my wife, we can make another baby." You know?
Who
And
said the same thing?
yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's the person that you want outside of your operating room. That's the person you want in your waiting room. That's the person you want making financial decisions when you're not there. That's the person that you can trust with your kids, you know, the in your case, the business side of what you guys do. And on the flip side of that, we still have couples who don't even merge their checking account, and so we can't if because to me, I hear people say that, and I know we kind of segueing into that as well. But if I can't trust you to care for me if I'm not well,
Mhm.
or let me flip it, if I can't trust you just to not bounce a check,
Right.
can I trust you to talk to the doctor about whether or not we need to amputate this leg if I am not awake to answer that question?
Right.
And that is how serious marriage is.
Mhm.
Marriage is not social media content. It is
No.
real life. This is your person.
Yes.
That's
It's
true.
I
Yeah.
know, Patricia, you and I talked offline about this before. What are your thoughts on, whether or not people merge their finances and what that looks like and that 50-50 marriage and all of the things that we read on TikTok?
I just, I want people to know when you are married, you become one.
Mhm.
Yes.
And what's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine.
Yes.
And since I was 23 years old, Des and I have had the same bank account since I
Mhm.
was 23. So we don't know it no other way. And I'm not saying that because I do know a lot of friends
Mhm.
that are married, they file separately and they have separate bank accounts.
Yeah.
And I don't judge them.
Right, right. Yeah, this is not a judgment. This isn't a
I
judgment.
just don't understand why it can't be the same. It's like we don't even look at I make this much, he make this much. It's like both of our paychecks go in. We pay
Mhm.
our bills afterward, pay our bills first. Well, we tithe first,
Mhm.
then we pay our bills. And whatever is left, we may even just say, hey, I want to get this or hey, I want to get that. And we
Mhm.
just, we communicate when we
Again,
buy.
the communication, the
That's
communication. Yeah.
That's
we communicate like, hey, I ordered this off Amazon or I need
or
to
our
get this.
or our investments,
Yeah.
not
Yes.
personal
And
endeavors.
but it's
Yeah, it's
still the
still
same
commu
foundation
right.
of the same account. It's not like, hey, I got 1,126 cents left. We've never, we don't know what that feels like. That's a
Right.
Yeah.
foreign language for us to separate our money. So, and I want people to understand who watch your podcast and watch your show is that it's okay to have a bank account with your husband that
Yes.
y'all share all of y'all money, it goes into one pot.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have to be separated, and I'm happy with it's worked for us this long, and it
Yeah.
can work for someone else who like, what would you be afraid of to give it a try?
Yeah. Because and that's the word right there. There's a fear at the core of that type of decision. I simply don't trust you. I'm
Mm,
afraid that at some point you're going to take all of my money and then I'm left vulnerable. I'm left with nothing. And a
mm,
lot of us are not willing to step into that level of vulnerability, not realizing that there's so much freedom on the
Mhm.
inside of that vulnerability. Now, if you are not married to someone where you feel that free, There, what I said, therein lies the problem. It's not
Right.
about the bank account anymore. It's not about the money anymore. It's you not being able to feel safe and vulnerable with this person that you said you're married to. And at
Right.
that point, there needs to be a conversation with a professional because you simply don't have the tools to go deeper in that relationship. And before you know it, if fear is at the core of your relationship, eventually your relationship is going to die. Yeah, because
You got you
everything's gonna
gotta
be
have
done out of fear.
you gotta have that trust there. You gotta build that foundation of trust and communication. Those are
100%,
two of the most important things that you need as far as a foundation for your marriage.
100%, 100%. Alright, I know we can talk about all oh my god, we can have this conversation all day, but, the last area that I wanna discuss with you guys, what would be your advice to any young couple right now who's considering divorce? "You know what? I don't know what to do. I'm done. I'm not going back. This is it. We're out." What would you tell them? What's that one thing you would tell them to try before they call it quits?
I would tell them to outweigh the good versus the bad.
Yes.
Really take a deep dive into really what's the root of the problem, and like go back to like if we can both agree to some type of counseling, just to give that an option,
Yes.
and go from there.
Mhm.
That's what I would say. That's what I would tell 'em.
Mine would be twofold. It would be like, think about your vows. Think about what you stood in front of God and promise
Mm.
to do.
Mm.
Think about your vows. That's number 1. And then number 2, I would say try marriage counseling because I feel like that can get to the root of
Right.
the issue and it can be non-biased or
Yes.
someone on the outside looking in that can help, them formulate a plan of action because again, the young couples who are married need to know that divorce is not an option
Yes.
and young couples who are single and dating and looking to be with that person, like you and I talked about offline before,
Yeah.
is tell that person what you're seeking in them to be committed to them and vice versa.
Yes.
That way you know where you're going, what you're looking for in that person, and you all can communicate so that you can
Mhm.
get married knowing that you want to stay together. We wanna
Absolutely.
grow old together,
Right.
we
Exactly.
wanna grow old, raise our grandkids.
Right.
When our children, decide they wanna have kids, like, we in love.
Yes. That's the fun part. I said, we're expecting our 5th grandkid March
Aw.
2nd. Oh my god, yeah, she has less than 3 weeks before she make her debut, girl. And so Rob and I are, we actually flying up to Iceland because that's where my son and daughter-in-law lives. And, the way we look at it, like you guys are saying, is what we're laying down. I want our grandkids to look back at grandma and grandpa and say, "Oh my gosh, they stayed married forever." That was,
Yep,
I want to learn what they did. We want to break that cycle. You and I talk about childhood traumas and that type of thing. Been there, done that. We're like, at some point, we have to break that cycle. We cannot just stay on this unhealthy roller coaster and it just well, my grandma did it, my grandpa did it, my mama did it. No, no. At some point, we have to put our foot down and say, okay, no, that's not the life that we want to live. We want to do something different. We want
right.
to make the world better. We hear the term, make the world better than than you came than when you saw it. Make the world
Yep,
better than how you leave the world better than how you saw it when you came.
Right.
right.
The point is that starts with it's not just cliche. That starts with how we show up in our family. We may not
Right,
be able to change the world, but we can change our household because that's where it starts.
right.
You and Des are laying down this legacy where your children are gonna pick up that baton, and their children are gonna pick that same baton up. And from this point on, the Pickett family is gonna be known for healthy relationships.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's
Mm.
it. I mean,
Role models
that
for
you role
my
models to
son
your
and my daughter.
kids.
Yep.
You
Yes,
teach them what is,
Absolutely.
relationships, what it
What it
should
look like.
look like.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, and you and I know good and well that they learn a lot more from what they see versus
Right.
what we're telling them. You know, they see how we act, they see how we communicate with each other. One of the things that my adult son said to me was, "Mom, to be honest, we really thought you and dad was perfect. You guys never fought." And I said,
Mm,
"Well, in our we grew up like, hey, kids don't see you fight. You keep that stuff away from them. You
right,
know, one of the things he said, Mom, what I wish I had learned is to watch you guys actually fight and then
Mm,
repair in a healthy way because
right.
we didn't know how to do that. And
Yeah,
I
that's
can
deep.
see how that yeah, I can see how that could have been, one of the areas among many where as parents we messed up. You know what I mean? But the at the end of the day, we wanna show up in a way that, the next generation can look back and say, "Hey, this is what I learned from them. This is the change that they made." Based on some of the traumas that we have encountered, we have
Yeah,
conducted our lives differently so that
right,
they don't have to deal with the same things that we did. Yes, they
yeah,
may have their own issues. Yes, they may have their own struggles, but it better not be the same thing that we went through. You know
right.
what I mean?
We teach them different.
Exactly, exactly. So I just wanna thank you guys so much for sitting down with me. Oh my gosh. Like I said, there's a lot of editing that's gonna happen, because we're all over the place. We went from one topic to the next. But, again, my amazing editing team, once they get a hold of this, they're gonna, do what they need to do to make it, of course, make it flow a lot better. But again, thank you so much.